Hey, parents of high school kids and college kids, listen up. Depression and anxiety are among the world's most common health conditions. 1 in 3 women, 1 in 5 men have an episode of major depression by the age of 65. So let's check in with your mental well-being and those of your loved ones as well. So how would your overall quality of life improve, or your children's quality of life, if you all started prioritizing your mental well-being? And in today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the hustle and the bustle and the social media and the whatever, and then neglecting our own emotional and psychological needs. So in this episode, we'll be diving into how you can take those first steps toward improving your mental health and well-being and those of your children. So listen up. We're joined today by our special guest, Dennis Carroll. I'm awesome Angie Engstrom.
And I'm GITTE. And now, before we start this episode, let me just stress that today we'll be touching subjects related to serious mental diseases such as depression and anxiety. And as a psychologist, I just want to encourage you not to try to fix these kind of problems on your own, but rather seek professional help to deal with them. So that's the little disclaimer there. And now let's go back to Dennis Carroll, because we're really excited to have you on our show today. So welcome to Momentum Makers podcast, Dennis. Welcome.
Well, thank you both so much for having me. I'm really delighted to be here.
Thank you. Okay, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about you. Okay, so Dennis is a certified firewalk instructor. I'm excited to hear about that. You're also a certified life coach and a licensed master practitioner of Neuro Linguistic Programming. And today he actually uses his NLP skills and Ericksonian hypnosis when he works with his clients. So I'm really excited to hear more about this.
Yes, welcome to the show, Dennis. So let's jump into it. Tell us what inspired you to get started in your business. Tell us, in 30 seconds, what is your business and how did you get started?
Well, 30 seconds isn't nearly enough time, but my business is literally helping people to completely overcome all the symptoms that are related to depression and anxiety and leave them feeling confident, happy, and fulfilled, and to make that sustainable for them. And how I got into this, I went through this in 2009. And at that point in time, I battled severe chronic depression. I had a diagnosis of it. And I battled it for over 31 years. And I went to another NLP practitioner, and he offered a very similar program to the one I offer. And before I left his program, in less than 8 weeks, it was gone. And it was gone permanently. And my confidence went through the roof. My sense of self-worth went through the roof. And when that happened, it was like, boom, I have to learn how to do this to pay it forward. And so that's why I do what I do. Literally, it changed my life. My life's so much better today than it was prior to 2009. And I just think everyone should have that opportunity.
That's amazing. Okay, you said 31 years with that label of chronic depression?
Severe chronic depression from a psychiatrist. I was on a bunch of medicine and it wasn't working. And the bad thing about depression medicine is for most people, it doesn't work. It did give me, I was on a bunch of them. One of them gave me a floor for my mood swings, but it didn't prevent depression. And when I learned how to operate my brain, and my coach, my NLP practitioner, did a very specific type of hypnosis on me. And I didn't even realize it was hypnosis until months later when I was studying it. I thought it was an NLP technique, but it took me from feeling like on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, was at a 0 to an 8 overnight. And for the first time in my adult life that I can remember, I felt fulfilled, happy, and confident. And all the things I thought I needed to feel this way, they hadn't yet manifested. But it was from that place of feeling better about myself that I was able to get out of my comfort zone and make my life what it is today. And, I'll forever be grateful to the man who did that for me. And I will spend the rest of my life paying this forward because it truly is a gift for people. And I'm really blessed to get to do it. I really, really am.
That's amazing.
So let me just get this straight. So you're using the method that actually healed you to help other people. Is that correct?
What do you mean, Giddy? It healed me from the depression?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's the same
yeah.
method you're using now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I literally depression was the first thing I focused on when I first became a coach, and I start, because that's what I dealt with, that's what I knew, and I knew, I learned how to get people over that, and then I was encountering more and more people that don't not only were dealing with depression, but anxiety was a problem as well. And for many people, anxiety is the first thing they feel that leads them to feel depression. So they go from feeling anxious because anxiety prevents them from doing the things they want to do. And then they get depressed about that stuff. And then they try to figure out what's wrong with them. Well, the problem with that is you're only looking for the problem. There's something wrong with all of us. Forget about what's wrong with you. Let's just take care of what's right with you and do more of that. And that's really, really what I do as an NLP practitioner. I help people, I liken it to and like a Michelangelo kind of thing, right? Michelangelo was, amazing sculptor. And back in the day, he had a wooden cart with wooden wheels on it, right? And one horse pulled this big piece of granite through the town of Florence, and he was well known. And everyone said, "Hey, Michelangelo, where you going with the bigger piece of granite?" He says, "This is not granite. This is David. What are you talking about?" And he gets that piece of granite all the way back to his studio, and he turns it up and he builds a scaffold. He starts to chip away at it, and he chips away at it, and he chips away at it. And all he does is chip away everything that isn't David. And what's left is a masterpiece. And that's what I like in my program too. We let go of all the things that you picked up along the way that you think is part of you, your mistakes, the things that happened in the past, the things that we hold on to that really has nothing to do with who we are as a human being. But if we focus on that, that becomes our reality. And what I do is I teach people to focus on what's right with them and to really take charge of their internal dialogue, way they talk to themselves. Because you can't just keep talking to yourself negatively and thinking antidepressants is going to make you feel better. If you keep criticizing yourself in your head, that changes your biochemistry. Every thought we think affects your alkalinity and acidity of the blood. Epigenetics, the science of how our thoughts affect our genes. So our thoughts are real things, and you have to take control of them. And if you don't, nothing will ever change for you. And all the hypnosis in the world isn't going to do it for you. So I've been doing this since 2010, and I had, the hundreds and hundreds of people that I've encountered. I found the one thing that will prevent them from getting the result, and that's an unwillingness to change their thoughts. And if you continue to beat yourself up, there's nothing I can do to help you or anybody else can help you. You have to choose to take a new path. You have to be willing. For many people, this is uncomfortable to say nice things to themselves about themselves because they're so used to the other way around. They're so used to beating themselves up that they become comfortable with it. And so you have to be willing to get a little bit uncomfortable and say something nice to yourself about yourself. And here's the caveat: you have to believe that it's true. If you use an affirmation that you don't believe, it's not going to work. And when you say
Amen.
something nice about yourself to yourself that you believe is true, that's simply an act of self-love. And that's what it's all about, is learning to love yourself, flaws and all, because we all have them, right? And I spent 49 years of my life hating myself because of my flaws. And that's all I did, is I focused on everything that was wrong with me and trying to be perfect. And we all know it's impossible, right?
That's
None of us
right.
are going to be perfect in this realm, right? And so when I was able to let go of that through the program I went through, it was so freeing, so life-changing. It's still to this day, when I think back on it, it's still mind-boggling how quickly it happened and how different it is from therapy and the traditional approach to mental and emotional health. And the really cool thing is it works. And it works for a long time. And Dr. Bandler's the one who brought this to the forefront. And he's the co-founder of Neuro Linguistic Programming. He's a triple doctorate. He's a genius. And I've been fortunate enough to study with him multiple times. And he's given me a lot of good information that I now integrate into my practice and use, pretty much every day.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. Guy, do you have anything else to add on that, or should we go to the next?
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to ask you, Dennis, do you have specific steps you do when you work with your clients, or is it more individually you work with them, or how do you do that?
So I really prefer to work one-on-one with people. I have done
Mhm.
group programs, but I really believe that my impact is much more significant and deeper impact on a one-on-one basis. And I do follow a 7-step strategic intervention coaching model. Sometimes those steps are out of order, and you really have to trust your gut, trust your instinct to go. Like when I'm in session with people, I have to be really, really on point. And but I also am able to listen to my intuition and that little voice that talks to me. And when I hear that voice, I might go off on a tangent that might seem, if you question it, like, does that really make sense? And more times than not, it does. And sometimes it comes because when you create deep rapport, especially in person, when I'm in person with people, you can actually feel people's feelings. I was talking to a girl one day and I said something that I think it made her think about something, but at the same time, it scared her. And when I said it, my stomach flipped. And I pointed to her. I said, "What was that?" She said, "What?" I said, "Did your stomach just flip?" She said, "Yeah, it did." I said, "I felt it." So the rapport that we create and the energy that we're collective energy, right? We're not just one. We're not here on earth by ourselves, but we have a collective energy that we share. And I believe that focusing on what we have in common rather than what we have differences is really how we move people forward, right? Because you're all messed up as human beings, every single one of us, and yet we're all still worthy of love. But so many people are walking around in fear that if you find out that I'm not good enough, or you find out that I'm not enough, or you find out whatever way you say it to yourself that I'm inadequate, then you won't love me. And we live in fear that we're not worthy of love. And what I really, really teach people to do is to love themselves just as they are, right here, right now, in as little as 8 sessions, and make it sustainable. And that causes a transformation. And instead of going out into the world and wanting to get love, they now can go out into the world and give love. And that paradigm shift changes everything for them. It really, really does. It changed my life. Just I can't even tell you. It really just changed my life so much. It's crazy.
That's so fantastic to hear, Dennis. I love this. I absolutely love this.
Thank you. I love it
So,
too. Can you tell?
yeah. Well, you mentioned a 7-step process. So can you really, really quickly, just due to time here, can you give us the 7 steps? Would it be helpful?
I'll try. Like at this point in time, I don't know if I know the names of each step. I've had it so deep into me now. I don't
Right.
think about the steps. I just do it. First step is diagnosis. You got to figure out what is their and not their problem is not what they think their problem is. So I'm diagnosing what I need to do. Second step would be then, and I don't know if somebody pulled out a 7-step strategic intervention coaching, if this would be in order, is to create the frame of possibility. And I also do that. I often do that in advance because a lot of parents send their kids to me. And I always tell the parents, make sure your child looks at my Google reviews first, because those Google reviews represent the typical results I get. And I want them to have high expectation, because if they come to me and, acquiescence of engaged and they think I'm just some other guy they're going to talk to, their expectations tend to be lower and they're not going to be really into it. So when they come in, if it's in person, the first thing I'm going to say to that person in my office is, after I frame what we're going to do, is, have you seen my Google reviews? And if they haven't, I pull them out on my computer and say, start reading these, because that creates that frame of possibility. Okay. And I want them to have high expectations. So this diagnosis, create the frame of possibility, identify limiting beliefs and limiting patterns, and then we create a new pattern. The way I do it is I go through the subconscious. So there's 6 subconscious human needs as identified by Tony Robbins, Chloe Mandanas, and actually Dr. Bandler, who taught Tony. And I really, I'll show somebody, okay, this is anxiety, right? And I do it on a whiteboard. And this is your 6 needs, and they're emotional needs, not wants, right? So it's like air, food, water, and sleep. And these are the 6 needs that we have to get met in the subconscious emotionally. And I'll show them how they're meeting those needs through anxiety, or they're meeting those needs through depression. And show them there's nothing wrong with you. You're just learned this way of meeting your needs. And so all of a sudden they feel better. It's like all this time I was trying to figure out what's wrong with me. We don't need to look what's wrong with you anymore. There's nothing wrong with you. You just have to find a new way to get your needs met. So it's to create a new pattern of getting the needs met is one of the steps. Okay. And then we want to condition that new pattern into their identity to make it sustainable. And for the rest of the steps, they're in my head, but I don't know them. I can't identify them. I'm sorry. But
That's
kind
okay.
of
I just
helps them.
wanted something tangible for the listeners to kind of grab onto. So that definitely is a great starter. That's awesome.
Okay.
Excellent. And our listeners love stories. So can you share maybe one, because you shared your story, maybe a successful client story that comes to mind?
Sure. I have tons of them. I can
I'm
I can give you
sure.
a ton of my own personal story. Age 49, went to this guy, go through his program. I let go of this belief that I was not worthy of love. My confidence went through the roof. Within a short period of time, I contacted a woman that I dated in 1986 and 1987. And very briefly, we spent 10 years being friends platonically, lost touch for 10 years because I was still in love with her and I couldn't be around her. I reached back out to her on October 20th, 2009. And within, October 20th, went out on our first date the night before Thanksgiving. We were married by January. Okay. And none of that would have ever happened if I still felt unworthy because I had to go reach out to someone who I heard was mad at me because I cut them off 10 years ago. Okay. And I wouldn't have risked that being rejected because I couldn't take it because feeling like I wasn't worthy. Right. But now I got it. I got my own worth here. And I got my own worth in my heart. And I knew that even if she rejected me, that I'd be okay. And I was just going there to spread love, to give love. Remember what I said? Before that, I wanted to get love. Now I was going out to give love, and that changed my whole life. And I'm happily married since 2010. So that was amazing. Years ago, clients brought their 13-year-old daughter to me, and she was brilliant. And the kids that come to me are always really, really smart. They always are. And normally I don't take 13-year-olds, but these people were desperate. Their daughter was running away from home. She was cutting. She was depressed, anxious, and she had tried to commit suicide repeatedly. So they're beside themselves, right? And they had gone to therapy, psychiatrist, psychologist. Finally, they put her into a high-end facility in Vermont for 4 months. And the parents would drive up from Chester County, Pennsylvania to Vermont every other weekend. Mom would go up, dad would go up the other weekend. 4 months later, they get her out and she's no better. Out of desperation, they bring her to me. Now, through the course of my program, it's normally 8 sessions, and we get to the eighth session, and this little girl's still telling me that she's still depressed. And I'm like, why? That doesn't make any sense. You shouldn't be depressed at this point. And she said, well, every single medical professional in that high-end facility in Vermont, every single one of them told her that she would have depression for the rest of her life. And she, of course, believed them because they were the professionals. And when I told her that that wasn't true, and she looked at me as an expert at that point, we had this major aha breakthrough. And so her mom was still very uncertain. His mom's a mom, right? And daughter has been very, in a bad place for a long time. So daughter wanted a new puppy. Now that we stopped, our program was ended. I think we went up like 12 sessions because of that thing that happened in Vermont. We went beyond the 8. Her mom got her a puppy, and the puppy died. So she brought this little girl back to me. I said, how are you doing? I heard you got a puppy and the puppy died. She said, well, I'm sad, but anyone would be sad. So I'm still in touch with the family. The little girl is now finishing her first year of college. Her father says she's doing better than she ever has in her life. And I'm thrilled to be a part of that and still talking to them because I had such an impact. And she was one of the more challenging ones, but that's typical results that I'm able to get. And it's not because look at me, I'm this great life coach or therapist, whatever you want to call me. It's because I'm really, really passionate about helping people and because I studied with the best people in the world. And I continue to study and continue to believe that I was going to say need, but it's needs and wants are it's a linguistic thing. So I want to get better at what I do. So I don't think I'll ever stop studying, or I don't think I'll ever stop practicing this because for me, this is not work.
Hmm.
That's awesome. I love
So
that.
interesting. Yeah. I was just thinking, so what holds people back from working with you?
I think a lot of people don't really understand what it is that I do. I really don't. I mean, I think if people understood what I'm actually up to, I think I would have a waiting list that would be months long, because there are so many people out there that would benefit from what I do. I really truly believe that. I really do. Um, because look at the established medical, it's like, write a script. Oh, you're depressed? Oh, here's a script for that. Are you anxious? Here's a script. And you see commercials all the time for drugs on TV, left and right. So this collective brainwashing of people that you have depression, you have anxiety. In my world, you don't have either one of them. You're doing them. You're doing them to yourself. You want to get yourself anxious? Think about something in the future and go, what if something bad happens? What if I can't pay my bills? What if I get fired? What if they don't like me? What if, and insert a problem and then run a movie of that problem, then reset the movie and run it again, reset the movie and run it again. All of a sudden you're feeling anxious. Well, who's running the movie? You're the one running the movie. You're the one asking the question. So a real tip for you people who are suffering from anxiety right now, ask yourself a better question. What if everything works out for me? And the trick here is, if you don't change the movie, you're still going to feel anxious. Now you got to run a movie of everything working out for you. Okay. Now that's an action that people do in their heads. That's not something they have. That's something they do. And it's similar with depression. So to me, it's not this thing that you have, because if you have anxiety, you have depression, you can't take power over it. You're a victim to them. When I show people how they're doing these things to themselves and show them how they can take power over it, and there's a frame of possibility, right? Oh, I can do something different. I can be different. So I'm sorry, I'm going off here. I forgot even what your question was at this point, but in my world, people don't have those things. They do those things.
No, that's fantastic. No, I love that. As we're wrapping this up today, is there anything else, any last comments you want to add before we ask you the final question?
Just that if anyone's thinking about it, please reach out to me. I do this because my heart's in it, and I promise you, I'll be probably more committed to your outcome than you ever will.
I love that.
That's all.
I love that. Awesome. So then, so tell us, what should listeners do next in order to reach out to you?
Well, they can follow me on social media. They can see, I put a lot of valuable and actionable videos with tips on anxiety and depression that they can actually use in real time. And I don't mind telling them that stuff, because there's so many people in the world that need my help. I could work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and never put a dent in them. It also, the fact that if they don't do the entire program, most of those tips aren't sustainable. So what you finish my program and it's sustainable for a good 10 years or more. So those tips will really, really help people and show them that they have power over these things that they feel powerless to. Because we did talk about anxiety, what if questions. Those are in the subconscious. People aren't consciously aware they're doing that stuff. But then they become conscious that, oh, I can do something else that gives them power over those things. So to give them the frame of possibility, I could do something else, and then reach out to me, and I'll do a complimentary session, or I'll do a discovery call, whatever they want to do, whatever they're most comfortable with.
Okay, Dennis, so how do they reach out to you? Where can they find you?
They can find me on TikTok, Dennis Carroll 72, or Facebook, Dennis.Carroll.543, and follow me on social media, and they can reach out to me there, and I can interact with them that way as well. Or they can call me. I use my cell phone for business, so they can call 484-889-7706. And if this is overseas, I do have WhatsApp. They can reach out to me there.
Amazing.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for coming on our show. It's been a pleasure having you, Dennis. Thank you so much.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And this was amazing. I resonated with everything you were saying, but not everybody does. So I encourage you all to go to those. We'll put the links in the show notes to his actual social media, so you can click on it and go right there to get those tips and connect with Dennis. If any of this resonated with you, please reach out to him and just get your questions answered. He's obviously helping a lot of great people. And I love your story, Dennis. Oh my gosh. 31 years. And look at you now. I love this. And I love this. Absolutely. So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for joining us today, Dennis.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. Gita, you want to say anything?
I just want to say thank you for coming, Dennis. And I'm just going to say hi, I'm GITTE.
And I'm Angie. And thank you, listeners, for listening. And keep your momentum, keep moving forward. And if you want to learn more about what GITTE and I do with Elite Virtual Stages and how we help businesses scale, you can find us on Facebook as well as on the web at elitevirtualstages.com/report. And have a wonderful day, everybody. Keep being awesome.